welcome. Are you ready to start writing? Let's get right to it.
Most writers, at one time or another, have worried that if they share ideas from a story they are writing or even publish it, that someone else may copy or steal the work. Is this a valid concern, and what should we do about it? In this video, we will look at pros and cons stemming from this issue and what we should do as creatives. So, let us take a trip back in time to when you were sitting on a mat for story time at school. Or you can imagine listening to a favorite bedtime story. The teacher reads the same story to all the children. Maybe it's Cinderella or The Wizard of Oz. As she reads, each child imagines a completely unique picture in their heads of the characters and environment. Some might find the story boring and daydream about earthworms, whereas others are excited and envision palaces, fairies, and brightly colored landscapes. But if you were able to take a photo of each brain's imaging, they would form a collection of unique images. This is really encouraging because it shows us that a story has limitless potential and is always evolving into something different for each person. Now, think about how we feel if somebody copies our work. In school, we might feel really angry or annoyed that the person didn't bother to prepare or learn their own work and are taking an easy way out. We might want justice, like the teacher taking action. The person who is copying could be lazy or have very low self esteem. They might think their projects are not good enough. They might think you have done a good piece of work and they want to use it for some purpose and maybe get recognition or praise for this. What do you think? How do you feel in this situation? Let's think of the classics: A Beautiful Painting by Van Gogh, the movie Gone with the Wind, books like Sherlock Holmes or Charles Dickens, poems by Wordsworth. All masterpieces have been copied in some way, either as prints, so that those of us who can't go to the galleries can still admire the art, or abridged versions of stories are made, or similar books, just changing character names. Despite the proliferation of copies of classics, they are still admired and bought today. They are still highly valued. A big concern around theft of ideas and plagiarism is the resulting loss of income. A writer, artist, or musician who is not credited for work might worry that someone else will reap the rewards or benefits from their work. This is kind of like a homeowner trying to protect property from thieves, and it's why we have copyright or trademarks. It's very unfortunate when large industries swoop in, take a story out of a writer's hands, transform it, and use the characters to make millions. Aside from the loss of income, there is also the emotional hurt at seeing beloved characters distorted to line someone else's pocket. On the other hand, if we look at an encouraging perspective, if someone wants to copy or steal your work, it has value. So people might recognize that you have something to offer that people would like, and you are the creator, the originator of the work. No one can take that from you. There is plenty more creativity in your brain. You can write more stories, and these will also have your unique individual stamp. We remind ourselves that, like the children in the classroom, Each individual responds differently to your story. So, for example, in The Wizard of Oz, some children might be terrified by the flying monkeys, where others just see them as funny or silly. The engineers or scientists in the classroom might think a little skeptically about a house ripped up by a tornado and magically transported to another land, where other children hope for even stranger and wild fantasy like Shark Boy and Lava Girl on distant planets. As writers, we are always reinventing old stories. We take a classic format and transform it into something new and interesting. Boy meets girl, they fall in love. How could this be different, unusual, or interesting? It comes from having the confidence to let your experiences from life flow through it. No one else has lived your life with your thoughts and feelings. The girl and boy are not just mannequins in a store. They are not waxworks. They are people you know in your life. Maybe someone you had a crush on, maybe a friend. You write about how you felt that day at the bus stop when you saw him walk off with another girl. How did you feel? Desperate? Alone? Rejected? Or perhaps relieved? The story has your unique stamp on it. Someone may replicate this for sale, but they can't steal your imagination. So, keep writing and sharing. Don't let the threat of piracy stop you from writing and asking others for opinions. As you work, you take ideas on board, hopefully accept constructive criticism and improve. But you need to get started first, and then you will find an audience. Be alert for scams in the form of fake promoters who unfortunately will waste your time, and focus on reaching your goals. Do your research and check if an editor, agent, or promoter has valid recommendations from a trusted source. Do you have the confidence to see yourself as a brand? In other words, you are not just a writer who is part of a team working for someone else's company, but you have invested in your unique identity. So your brand is who you are and what you stand for. You need to have your logo and website, hopefully with your name and a specific domain. As you grow and develop, you build your brand to include the products you like. Writers might not enjoy the idea of thinking that books are a product, but put yourself in more practical shoes. Think in terms of a business that you're building for the future, not just a book you have released now. It does not have to be overcomplicated. Keep it simple and keep building into your identity. As an individual building your brand and identity, what do you have of value to offer? Share something that will help or encourage another writer. You can share what you have learned, short stories, or even your time to answer questions and teach. Think of mentors, websites, or books that have helped you to learn and progress, and think of ways that you can also build into the lives of others that they will appreciate. We all have weaknesses. Some people are very good at the creative process, but struggle with business and marketing. Others may thrive on design, but hate editing. Think of areas where you can challenge yourself to improve. It's possible and may be helpful to get others to do tasks for you. But when you tackle a different field, it gives you a better perspective on the whole project. So, if you design a book cover, you have to sum up with pictures and font what your story is about, and it helps you as a writer to realize your target market and the image you are trying to portray. Also, if you are editing, you realize what is not necessary and know how to improve your writing skills. Different fields of creativity, like painting or drawing, can help you to relax and let ideas flow. Of course, tech can be a challenge, but it's like a workout for your brain. From time to time, it's good to stop and take a look back at what you have done and evaluate whether you think it's effective or not. You can always re edit or republish a book to improve it and maybe rethink what is working in terms of your marketing or the way you reach your audience. Try not to be discouraged when things don't seem to be working. Some writers wait for years for their work to be noticed. For example, George R. Martin's book, A Game of Thrones, was first published in 1996. So as you continue to write, you will build confidence in your voice and adapt to the genre and audience that you enjoy most. Your task for today is to choose a classic character and create a new story. It doesn't have to be long, maybe 3 paragraphs with a beginning, middle, and end. It can be as long as you like. Take a look at the examples. You have Sherlock Holmes and the stranger on the train. So you can take that story and develop it into anything you like. Perhaps Sherlock Holmes is living in modern times, or you could go back in the past and develop your own train of thought. Then we have Miss Marple in Flat 52. Try to think of this elderly lady detective and how she would go about solving a crime. Then something completely different. After the honeymoon, Juliet's confessions. If you think about Romeo and Juliet, you think about romance and love and passion. What happens when they are married and having to live together? And you could write something more humorous about their relationship. Then we have Memoirs of Oliver Twist. The original story was about a little boy trying to survive on the streets of London. Now, as an older man looking back, you could write what he remembers and his feelings and relationships. And then Lydia's Diary could be for fans of Jane Austen. From Pride and Prejudice, Lydia is the younger daughter who runs away with a military officer. We could think about Lydia as a middle-aged lady who writes down her daring escapades. Enjoy your writing task. If you would like more writing tips and advice, you can follow my Substack blog, or you can find me on Patreon for conversation, dialogue, and English language. And then look on Facebook and Instagram for updates. Take a look at my books on Amazon. They are available as ebooks or paperback. Thank you.